Hands off the joystick. Machine's just idling. And the left panel scrolls 3240, lift handle or pedal, not in neutral. You're touching nothing, and the loader insists you're. That argument right there is the whole 32 family. Every 32 code your T250 can show lives in one neighborhood, your handles, the actuators, and the wiring between them. We'll decode all of them exactly as the factory lists them, plus the cheap fixes to try before the expensive ones, first where they live. Service codes appear in the left instrument panel, in the hour meter and code display. If more than one is stored, they scroll. Watch the whole loop before you decide what's actually wrong. That matters more than it sounds. Glance too fast, and you'll chase the second code while the first one caused it. The ACS system watches your controls. When something doesn't add up, it lights an icon and stores the error as a code. Here's the order it checks in, and it's the order you should work in, because it stops at the first problem it finds. It checks the lift handle sensor, then the lift actuator, then the tilt handle sensor, then the tilt actuator. Then it stops and lights the icon, which means one code on the panel can be hiding a second one behind it. Start with the odd one out. 3223 reads ACS, not calibrated. Nothing's broken. The system just doesn't know where your handles sit at rest, so it refuses to trust them, like the bathroom scale that reads 4 pounds with nobody standing on it. The readings aren't wrong. The zero is. That one usually shows up after work was done, an actuator swapped, a sensor replaced, a battery disconnected. Now the tilt side. 5 codes, and the only difference between them is where the fault actually sits. 3231 is tilt actuator fault. The actuator itself isn't behaving the way the controller expects it to. 3232 is tilt actuator wiring fault. Same neighborhood, different suspect. The harness feeding that actuator. 3233 is tilt handle wiring fault. That's your side of the loop, from the handle back to the controller. Read those 3 slowly. Actuator wiring, handle wiring. The panel already narrowed the search for you. 3234 is tilt actuator, not in neutral. At rest, the actuator isn't sitting where neutral is supposed to be. 3235 is tilt handle or pedal, not in neutral. Same complaint, opposite end. The input, not the output. And here's where guys burn an afternoon from the seat. Those two look identical. Nothing moves either way. The one is pointing you at the actuator, and the other is pointing you at the handle. 2 very different days. The lift side mirrors it code for code. Same story, different function. 3236 is lift actuator fault. 3237 is lift actuator wiring fault. 3238 is lift handle wiring fault. 3239 is lift actuator not in neutral. And 3240 is lift handle or pedal not in neutral. Our opening code. So the panel isn't being vague. It names the part, and it tells you whether the wiring or the part is suspect. That distinction is the gap between a 20-minute connector job and ordering an actuator you never needed. And a not-in-neutral code doesn't always mean a sensor died. Sometimes something is physically holding that control. Packed mud, a dropped glove, a boot resting on the edge of the pedal. Use your eyes before you reach for a meter. Same as the car that won't leave park because a receipt slid down under the shifter boot. Then there's 3241, no communication. Nothing subtle about that one at all. The controller isn't hearing the piece it expects to hear. Not a bad reading. No reading whatsoever. A silent device and a broken device look completely different on a panel, and they get fixed completely differently. No communication points hard at connections and power long before it points at the part itself. Which brings us to the line the factory book says out loud and almost everybody scrolls right past. Multiple service codes, or strange symptoms that don't line up, can be caused by a corroded or loose ground. One bad ground, several codes. You chase 4 separate faults that were always one dirty connection. So when that display scrolls your list, don't start buying parts. Start by checking grounds. Then check the wire connections at the Bobcat controller and make sure the connectors are truly locked into place. Then check the pins inside for pins pushed back or bent. A backed-out pin reads exactly like a dead sensor. If that just saved you from ordering the wrong part, that's exactly what this channel is for. Stick around. Now the short-circuit codes. These are the most specific things this panel will ever hand you. 3249 is lift actuator short to ground. 3250 is tilt actuator short to ground. 3251 is lift actuator short to battery. 3252 is tilt actuator short to battery. Ground side or battery side. That's a wire rubbing bare on steel versus a wire touching power it shouldn't. Now your side. 3253 is lift handle or pedal short to ground. 3254 is tilt handle or pedal short to ground. 3255 is lift handle or pedal short to battery. 3256 is tilt handle or pedal short to battery. 8 codes, but really one grid: lift or tilt, actuator or handle, ground side or battery side. The panel has already told you which quarter of the machine to open up. That's most of the job done. Shorts love movement. Look where the harness flexes, where it crosses an edge, where a clamp went missing. And look wherever somebody's been recently. New attachment wiring, a pulled seat, a zip tie cranked down too hard. A chafed wire never fails politely. It works cold, shorts once it warms, and clears itself the second you park. That's why intermittent 32 codes get blamed on gremlins. They're not gremlins. They're geometry. Them 2 codes that don't fail outright. 3257 is lift actuator reduced performance. 3258 is tilt actuator reduced performance. The part still works, just not to the standard the controller wants. That's the code you get before the code you're actually afraid of. An early warning, and it gets ignored constantly. It's the tire that's low every Monday morning. Nothing has stopped yet. Nothing is fine either. And the last 2 were the strangest on the whole list. 3259, lift actuator wrong direction. 3260, tilt actuator wrong direction. The actuator moved, all right, the opposite way from what was commanded. That's not a weak part. That's wiring or feedback handing the system a very confident lie. Stop for those. A control that argues about which way is up isn't a nuisance code, it's a safety problem. So let's rank the causes, cheapest to worst, in the order you should actually be working through them. Cheapest, a corroded or loose ground. Free to find, minutes to clean, and it can drop several codes at once. Next, a connector that isn't locked into place. It looks seated. It isn't. Push it until it clicks. Next, a pin pushed back or bent inside that connector. Look at the pins. Don't just wiggle the plug and hope. Then harness damage. Chafe, a pinch point, a rub-through, or the loom crosses something sharp. That's short code country. Then the handle sensor, if the code names the handle. Then the actuator, if the code names the actuator. Worst case, the controller. It's last for a reason. It's the expensive answer, and it's usually the wrong one. So how do you isolate? Let the code pick the end. Handle code sends you to the operator side. Actuator codes send you to the machine's side. Wiring codes send you to everything running between the two. Clear the codes. Run it. See what comes back. A code that returns instantly is a wire, not a ghost. And remember that check order: lift handle, lift actuator, tilt handle, tilt actuator, stopping at the first fault. Fix that first one, then look again. The second problem won't announce itself until the first one is gone. One more thing the manual is blunt about: this work is meant for authorized Bobcat service personnel. And after any repair or adjustment, check for correct function before that machine goes back to work. That's every 32 code your T250 can show. Calibration, tilt, lift, communication, shorts, reduced performance, wrong direction. The panel never names your problem. It names half your machine. Start there and work cheap before expensive. Next up, the 23 and 24 codes. Rear base and rear rod solenoid errors on and off. The exact procedures are in the service manual linked below. Like this, if it saved you a guess, and subscribe for daily diagnostics.